Well, hey, welcome to Leadership Pathway. If you're watching this, you're probably interested in the church and you're probably interested in leadership, or you're a friend of Emily's, or you're interested in how's the church going to find the staffing that it needs. If you're a leader, you've probably bumped up against that. And we're going to talk about all those things today. If you are interested in that stuff, you should check this out. I'll put a link. I'll put a link in the notes below. I'm told I should talk about this more. So there. I did it. I did it. All the people in my life can be happy. Who's the next you? Told it's pretty good, at least the parts that I did not write. But it's all about how to find people and what do you do once you find them to help them move forward and take steps forward in leadership. And then hey, how do you help them move on? Whether that's at your own organization by keeping them. It's like they move on into a full-time role after a residency, or they move on down the street or across the country. Who's the next you? I think it's a question everybody ought to be asking. And that's what that book does. And I'd encourage you to click below and get it. But we're going to talk about one of these situations, one of my favorite places in Omaha, Nebraska, at the Water's Edge Church. Emily Koonce, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to see you,
Eh,
Dave.
Yeah, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what are you doing these days and
Sure.
where are you?
Well, you mentioned my name's Emily Koonce. I'm a pastoral resident at the Water's Edge. I'm in my second year of residency with Leadership Pathway and the Water's Edge Church. Um, I am a bit of a midlife comer to ministry. I worked in corporate America for about 15 years in a career, and then been feeling nudges for a long time that are
Mm.
ministry related. But I got a call to ministry, to full-time ministry in the summer of 2024. And I found Leadership Pathway and found an opportunity to talk to the church that was next door to where I live. And God paved a way and made big things happen. And so I'm here in my residency. I'm getting to kind of dip my finger into every pie in adult ministries.
Mm.
Um, we already actually have another resident with Leadership Pathway at this church, and her focus is in youth,
Yeah,
and the other need was in adult ministries. And so I've been getting to kind of try everything and discern where my gifting and skills and talents are,
mhm.
and kind of dream together with the church about what's next.
It's great. Listen, if you're watching this and you lead in something and you're saying things like, we've talked to everyone. We've looked, there is no one in our town. There are times when people are right down the street and
Yes.
somebody just has to take each party by the hand and introduce them. You're in your second year, is that right?
Yes,
So
correct.
you're beyond the first year. What is adult ministries? What does that mean at the Water's Edge Church? What kinds of things are you involved with there?
Great question. It means I've gotten to be a part of our connections ministry, which is everything from when a new visitor walks in the door to becoming a full partner here at the church and finding where to connect and serve and plug in and learn more. It has been learning about adult education, from the programming to leading Bible studies and classes throughout the year,
Yeah.
and seeing what that coordination looks like and volunteer leader recruitment. It has been helping coordinate our service days, which we do once a month out in the community, and helping put those together, make contacts and connections, and then, put an event together, recruit the volunteers to show up and wear the t-shirt and serve, and then get the stories afterwards.
You're mentioning all of the things that I've heard for 25 years are the heart. Now, meeting the new people, I often say that's the best job at the church because these
It's a good
people are
one.
coming towards you. They're excited. I mean, some are in pain and in trouble, but by and large, they're excited to be there. They're taking a step towards you. Oh my goodness. They're not angry. They're not leaving. They're not disappointed yet. You get to meet all those people. I love that. But
Yeah.
then, but then over here on recruit the volunteers and the once a month serve thing, talk about that because I think we all have the idea that it must be easy to get people to serve in the Midwest. In a place like Omaha, that must be easy. Some of us are in the mountains of Denver or we're on the beach or we're in a major metro area and we think, man, it must be easy to get people to do. Is it easy to get people to serve in Omaha, Nebraska?
It can be. We do a variety of different types of service events to try to
Okay.
reach different audiences and make that make people hungry to serve in different ways. Um, we just last weekend there was a service event that was it's the most popular one of that we do each year, and it was a project that we partner with a local nonprofit to build beds. The nonprofit's called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And so we build the pieces of beds, and then in the future there will be a day that's a delivery day that people get to volunteer and actually go into homes and deliver beds to kids who don't have
Kids.
them.
Okay. I
So
just
that's
heard
incredible.
I was in Lexington, Kentucky. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe, I don't know if it's the same. I'll have to find out if it's the same organization or not.
It could be
But
the same.
there were 1,400. This is a town of a couple 100,000 maybe. There were 1,400 kids without a bed. How many are there do you know anything about that?
That could be likely. Sleep in Heavenly Peace is a national organization, and they're an awesome partner. The local chapter leaders are members of the Water's Edge here in Omaha,
How about
and so
that?
the partnership was fairly easy to put together. But yes, there's definitely over 10,000 and maybe closer to 15,000 kids in the Omaha metro
Okay.
who don't have a bed.
It's
Um,
amazing. So
and
they're not
yeah,
homeless. They have a home,
correct. They have a
but they're
home.
on the couch or they're on the
Yep.
floor or with the parent. Okay.
Yep.
What a
So really awesome ministry. And that's a popular one because, the bed building is hands-on and construction and carpentry. And, there's ways to get the kids involved too. Gear up on all the eye and ear protection and
yeah.
everything and get them involved. And so that can be pretty incredible. And then we do partnerships with a local statewide diaper bank.
Yeah.
And it's packaging, diapers. It's serving with our open door mission,
Yeah.
whether that's feeding a meal to people who are in the shelter at the time who are homeless, or if it's in the homelessness prevention where we go in and help sort and stock clothing and
Can I just pause you
house
for a
goods.
moment? Can I just pause you
Yeah,
for a moment?
yeah,
People, and I know you've been around church your entire for a long time, and
mm,
we'll get to that. I want to hear where you came from.
sure.
But and then people, I mean, what the Water's Edge is a large church,
Mm,
and you pull up, and it is a fantastic facility that lots of people have sacrificially given to. It's
mhm.
beautiful, it's amazing, it's great. Just you guys just picture a big megachurch. That's what I mean. It's a big megachurch.
Yeah.
It's not as big as some, but it compared to the 290,000 churches in America, it's a big church, right? And people knock big churches.
Hmm.
They criticize big churches. It's a show. All they want is my money. But then you just get under the hood and I don't know. I mean, you've rattled off like it's no big deal that you're doing all of these things. And these are the things that I consistently hear
Mm,
around churches that have enough people to make a dent, you know.
mhm.
You didn't build one bed. I don't know how many you built, but it was more than one.
A
And you
lot more
know
than
that,
one.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I got a little tired and winded listening to you, but I mean, what a view that you're kind of getting in this thing of being embedded at a place that does more than just weekend services and entertains people.
Yes. Well, it's true that there is an element of generosity that's needed to make some of these missions happen. There's some funding that's needed for the partnerships, but a lot of people, whether they can give financially or not, we all have gifting, and a lot of us have the ability to go serve. And
Yeah.
I think the Water's Edge has done a good job at talking the talk and teaching that we look like most like Jesus when we
Yeah.
serve.
Yeah.
And people have bought into that for sure. And so, there's some service projects that get a little more signups than others, but making it accommodating to people, to their schedules. We're not asking you to show up every day of the week or every Saturday,
Right.
but one Saturday a month,
Right.
there's a new opportunity.
About that.
Um, it's also really, so it's part of the church's culture, but it's also something that I have found a lot of people crave. They
Yeah.
crave the opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't have time to commit to figuring this all out on my own.
Sure.
So I can know that the church is going to do
Sure.
something once a month. I can just sign up and show up
Yeah.
and, serve for a few hours. And if you haven't tried it or you haven't gotten your people to try it, serving is addictive.
There you go.
It giving back to other people, doing God's work
Yeah.
is very self-fulfilling. And I don't
Yeah.
mean that in a selfish
Yeah.
way, but there's a reason why Jesus taught us to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, if you're living in Omaha and you're looking to make a difference in your community and you're wondering, what can I do? My church doesn't do jack squat. There you go. The Water's Edge. Find Emily. She'll put you to work.
And we'd
Put
love
you to
to
work.
partner with you and make
I
things
love,
happen at your church
I
too.
love it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, give me two or three things. If I said, Emily, you went to work at this church 15 months ago or whatever it was, what have you learned about church work? I want to get to what we learned about you, because that's actually what I'm going to camp on. But what have you learned if you had to get up and give a talk Thursday at a luncheon? Here's three things I've learned. I didn't realize this about church work, the work
Sure.
at church. What have you learned?
I'm going to say the very first thing about church work that kind of was a surprise to me was just how hard it is to remember everyone's names. You mentioned this is a bigger church. It's a bigger church than I have necessarily been a part of for most of my life. And the very hardest thing is learning people's names and being able to remember them. But there is such great value
Mm.
in, someone coming through the door. I say, "Hey, Jamie, good to see you again." And their response of, "She remembered my name," like is really powerful. And so I've gotten also really comfortable saying, "Please pardon me that I can't, it's on the tip of my tongue, but help me remember your name." And making a really conscious effort to recognize people and be able to call them by name has been really, really incredible. And so that's been hard, but a good challenge and something for me to continue to work at.
Yeah, most of us can't remember the 10 names of the people we work with, and there's 1,000 or so people showing, you got a few thousand every month coming through the doors. So good for
It's
you.
true. And that responsibility is not only on me. Everybody
Yeah,
shares it.
of course, of course.
But that has made a difference and people have told me that matters to them.
Yeah,
So
very cool.
that was a good lesson.
All right, that's a big one because I can't do that. All right, I'm gonna have to work on that. What's number two?
Yes. Number two is that it is okay to reprioritize and acknowledge when my energy isn't where I think it's going to be. Um, what I mean by that is there are days that I get back to my personal life and I'm more drained than I expected to be because, ministry takes a lot of
Sure.
physical work, emotional
Yeah.
work, mental and spiritual time and effort. And so when I get home, if I don't have the energy remaining to fold the laundry and put it away, that's okay.
Yeah.
So giving myself grace, and just kind of
Yeah.
reprioritizing what really matters.
Yeah.
Finding time to restore myself.
Right.
Sometimes I need to do something creative that restores me, whether it's,
Yeah.
cooking a new recipe or creating some type of art or
Yeah. Okay.
um, singing. I love music.
Yeah.
And so something that restores me and fills my own bucket back up, it's okay to choose to do that before I turn around and do the chore that I haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah. Very
So
cool.
energy management has been a
Yeah.
good lesson.
It's great.
Yeah.
What did you do before this, Emily? You've been there a little more than a year. Tell us how you got there. What were you mentioned corporate work or
Yes.
something like that. What kind
Um,
of jobs had you been in before this?
yeah. So immediately previous to coming here, I spent 11 years at a major tech company that has an office in Omaha. And I partnered with big companies
Okay.
all over the world to help recruit people for their corporate teams to post their jobs and influence and understand their branding and their market impact.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of good lessons in customer service and collaborating with people of all levels. Sometimes I was talking to C-level executives, and
Yeah.
sometimes I was working with a receptionist,
Yeah. Right.
and just really building the skills of working with people from all over the workplace.
Yeah.
And then because the company I worked for is a global company, I got to partner with clients and with coworkers all around the globe.
Good.
I got really wonderful perspective on different cultures and work ethics and understanding what's important to people.
It's great.
Uh, I had the pleasure of being involved in our employee resource groups there as well. So I got to teach people about advocacy and standing up for persons with disabilities or
Okay.
supporting our coworkers who, have different ways of processing thinking, and different neurodivergencies. So
Yeah.
really some fun, cool things. I loved my work before, I got a call to ministry, but
Yeah. Talk
I,
about, I want to hear about this call. You
yeah,
mentioned it earlier.
yeah,
20, you actually had the what, summer of 24.
yep, yep.
What was it? How did that work? Tell us about that.
Well, I had to take a forced pause. I was loving my work. I was thriving in my job. Things were going pretty great at home.
Mhm.
And then a medical issue that I had kind of been ignoring and putting off for too long um, came up and slapped me in the face, if you will, metaphorically. To be more specific, I had carpal tunnel and I was just ignoring it. I was just kind of pushing through pain and uh, not not letting myself stop to try to deal with it. And then one day, when I got a little bit of numbness and tingling in my hand, it went completely numb, and I couldn't do anything. My hand went into like full paralysis for like a week. So I
Mm.
had to stop what I was doing, take a leave of absence from work, and it was during the downtime when I was going through the correct things that I needed to do to take care of myself, and everything to lead up to a surgery that I eventually had that has corrected the issue now. It was during that forced pause that I was at home. I was supposed to not be doing anything, not be using my arm, not be, over being strenuous myself. A forced, actual physical pause that I had to stop and reflect and kind of relearn how to listen to God, listen to some of my own thoughts and process, where are these coming from? And through a lot of my own reflection, God spoke to me pretty clearly, and said, "You know that thing that you've been thinking about for all this time? Please listen. You're supposed to be in full-time
Yeah.
ministry in the
Yeah.
church." And
Well,
I
tell me about
still,
the thing. You said you were
yeah,
thinking about it. You had been thinking about it.
sure.
What was the driver to make you think about it? Does it go back to childhood or is it
Some
more
of it's
recent than that?
definitely, yeah, some of it's definitely childhood.
Okay.
My family was always so involved in the local church. My parents were excellent models of leadership and service in the local church as lay people. My parents retired from careers in education and administration in public schools, and then that didn't last because they were very quickly unretired into ministry. So my dad served two small town churches in central Nebraska for, I think it was 9 years. Um, and my mom was an incredible pastor's wife and lay servant leader in the church. So I think some of it's in my blood.
Yeah.
And then even when I was in school, I got my undergrad degree in music performance, and my
Okay.
thought was always, oh, I'm going to go be a worship director someplace.
Okay.
But Nebraska is not exactly the place to necessarily land if you are going to be a full-time paid worship director. Because at the time I graduated from college, I want to say there were six churches, all in Omaha, that had a full-time staff member that
Okay.
was a worship director, and none
Yeah.
of them were about to turn anybody over. So there wasn't a lot of
Right.
place for me.
Right.
And when I did graduate from college, I was engaged to this guy who lived in Omaha. And so where I was going to live was already pretty clear. So
Yes. Did you grow up were you a Lutheran or in the Methodist church or what
I
was
grew
your,
up in the Methodist
in the
church.
Methodist church? Okay.
Yeah.
So female worship leader in the Methodist church, looking
Hmm.
for a job, didn't get one, wound up at corporate America.
I did. And at the time that seemed like an okay transition. And then
Yeah.
I just was a volunteer,
Yeah.
helping lead a worship team
Right.
at a Methodist church in Omaha.
Right.
And that was pretty good for a good long time. I loved it. But to be honest, I kind of had wrestled for years with the the balance of loving that kind of attention myself
Right.
and glorifying the Lord.
Yeah, sure.
And um, I wanted to always keep very clear perspective on what that was. And I think
Sure.
that was another lesson I kind of learned along the way is, man, I really love doing this. I love being
Mm,
involved as a worship leader,
hmm.
but there's something inside of me saying, um, you're supposed to do more than just lead the
Right,
music.
right.
So,
The 11 years, the 11 years you're working a corporate job and you're volunteering. Was it a speak? I mean, because I think there's a lot of people out there who they either were educated for ministry and they chose something else, or it chose them, right? It's just the way
mhm.
life happens. Just like you said, in your denomination, there weren't many paid gigs and you knew where you were living. So it wasn't like you were going to go apply across the country. You were get life happens, right? That's what we would say. Or I've had people say to me, yeah, my granny told me I was going to be a minister and I've been out and they start telling me a story. Sometimes it's just a lucrative thing they fell into, or the family business that had expectations on them. For your journey, those 11 years, was it nagging at you? How would you, if we had to shoot a scene for your movie,
Mm.
right, that had to show this, you're working and you're like, I know I should be doing something else, or did it feel more optional to you than that?
Um, so for the first half of my time at that particular company, I'd worked at another company before doing other customer service, but for the whole 11 years I was at my previous company. Um, Most of the time, I was pretty happy. I always loved the team I was on. There were some really incredible interpersonal relationships that were fantastic. There were a lot of, great perks and tech company. There were some really good benefits and compensation that were a big draw to staying in that world. For the first probably 6, maybe 7 years that I was there, like things were awesome. I was calling it my dream job. I was so happy. Things were really awesome. And then, corporate things started to kind of shift and change. I saw the first layoff at that company, and I didn't necessarily think that that was something that was going to be in that company's story. And then when it became something that was a possibility, it shifted a little bit of the morale and just overall thinking there. I think a lot of people in corporate world here, oh, our workplace is like a family. And then, in the last decade or so, we've seen a lot more people saying, well, it might be your work family, but you still might be replaceable.
Yeah.
And so that can be a hard thing to swallow and a big change.
Hmm.
Um, Now, it wasn't necessarily layoff culture that I had some new fear. It just kind of shifted some of my perspective about the company and about thinking about my future. And while I always loved my clients and my team and the things I got to do aside from my core job, I started searching in the company for what we called it next play was
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
be,
sure.
what our next role was going to be. And what I found was I kept chasing after things. And I can't even tell you, I know that I interviewed internally over 10 times
Wow.
for roles. And a bunch of those times I was the second candidate. I
Mm,
made all the way to the final interview
mm,
and was praying, and I thought maybe that was where the Lord was leading me. And then I would, get the phone call that says, "Oh, we picked the other person and you were great and we'll think about you next time." And there was never this next time that spot was open or over and over again.
yeah.
I kept chasing things. And then when I was at home and dealing with my carpal tunnel, all of a sudden it was, hey, that thing you've been chasing
Yeah.
isn't in your
Yeah.
company. In fact,
Yeah.
it's not in your career view
Yeah.
at all.
How about that?
So,
How about that? It's
yeah,
almost like God knows your address or something.
it's or something.
Or something. It's like opportunities are coming and going. What looks like a roadblock, it's not a roadblock. It's just directing you just a little bit that way and a little bit. And if you're open to the Lord's leading in your life, it sounds like you were.
I
But,
was, and like I said, a lot of people like to give me credit for stepping away from a corporate job
right,
because, a lot of our
right.
culture is very compensation driven.
Yeah.
And, the Lord blessed me with that for many years. But He has not stopped providing for all of my needs.
Yeah.
And I have to give my husband credit in here too,
Sure.
because somewhere along the way, before we knew what the path was going to lead to, the Lord led my husband and I to look at our lives and make quite a lot of changes
Yeah.
within the same year that I started a residency. In
Hmm.
fact, like a month later, my husband also left corporate and went to serve at a local nonprofit, and just
Yeah.
we're finding that those compensation packages that used to be such a big draw,
Yeah.
there is a whole nother world of compensation
Yeah.
in fulfillment
Yeah.
when we're working in ministry. So,
Well, we read that about, you know, 20 to 25 Gen Z. They want to be, you know, more than the compensation. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. But it's true
yep.
of every generation. It's true of all of us.
Yeah.
Compensation's great. Making a difference, having meaning and purpose. You don't have to work at a church. That's not what you're saying.
No.
But finding that place where you're making a contribution is
Yes.
worth a lot.
In fact, I have a family member who went into ministry the pastoral route and had some life happen
Yeah.
as well. And they've transitioned to a whole different kind of ministry now. They're in nonprofit fundraising
Yeah.
and donor recruitment, and just really thriving in that space, doing something that really matters. It just
Right.
happened to be that the path for them wasn't to stay the pastoral route. It was this
Yeah.
other thing. And they're still doing ministry in a
Yeah.
different way, but it's still a wonderful, beautiful, impactful thing.
How did what you worked at before, how did it prepare you for what you've been doing the last year plus there in ministry? What are some of the things you learned back then? You're like, oh yeah, I'm glad I went through that because now oh, you might be avoiding some things because of experiences. I don't know, but any of that apply to where you are?
It does. Coming to work at a church, a lot of the people that I work with have always been in ministry. They've been here for a really long time, doing great things forever. And I came from a corporate environment where we had some systems and some internal practices and routines that can really help when you're trying to scale a big church that's getting bigger. And so, getting to come in and bring some fresh ideas to, hey, what would this look like if we actually did this a different way? Has been cool. And I was in an environment before that I had permission to say that. We were kind of a feedback and open voice culture, and that allowed me to not be worried about approaching people because, oh, this person's my boss. I'm not supposed to bring them my new ideas. Yes, you are.
Yeah, that's great.
So kind of permission to
Good.
do that. Um, some things that have been really good are because of the environment I was in and experiencing people from so many different cultures and backgrounds. Um, it's given me a better perspective of dealing with people who have come
Hmm.
from all kinds
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
different backgrounds and
Yeah.
experiences in the church. And honestly, it helped me to mature into being probably less judgmental than I would have been
Yeah.
being. I mean, I grew up, I was a white girl in a
Yeah.
very white community in
Yeah. Right.
central small town Nebraska.
Yeah.
Honestly, pretty sheltered, the
Yeah.
way I would have grown up. And even in college, I still went to a school within my own state.
Yeah.
And so just gaining some of the perspective to be able to listen to people and love people better, regardless of what my assumptions about them might have been,
Yeah.
um, was really good for me personally, but is really incredible in ministry because
Yeah.
so many times I do a lot in our care ministry, and being
Yeah.
able to just listen to people
Hmm.
without any judgment, just hear them out and make them feel heard, and sharing the love of Jesus, who also, wasn't judgmental the way a lot of us
Yeah.
are or
Yeah.
can. So
Yeah.
those were some really good things that came from my past experiences to bring to ministry.
Think back to when you started and something was in front of you and you're like, I can't do that. There's no way I can do that. Or after, man, sometimes it's like we sign on the dotted line. Okay, we're going to start in a month. And you're like, oh crap, what if I can't do this. What are some things that were in front of you back at the beginning that you just thought, I can't, they've asked me to do what? And now it's like, sort of like riding the bike, right? It's like, yeah, I'm going to die. And then you look back and dad let go of the seat a
Yeah.
block ago and I'm riding, I still experience this. I still experience this. I can't believe there are some things that I'm like, it's fearful. I'm afraid. I'm
Mm.
afraid. I don't think I can do it. And then in my weakness, he is strong, right? What,
Yes.
you got any stories like that?
I do. A couple months into my residency, the lead pastor and associate pastor approached me and said, "Hey, there's this partnership we have with a school across town,
Hmm.
and we've got a good relationship there. We do a couple things a year to support them, and um, there's an opportunity to make that bigger." To not just be us going in and serving the church and dropping by cookies, but to really lead a partnership with all of the school's community partners and rally people together to amplify our impact. And we think you might be the person to come in and lead that. Nobody else really has time. So how about you? Do you want to do this? And I didn't hesitate and I said yes. And I mean, it might have been 20 minutes later that I was like, okay, I haven't been in a school system myself for ages.
Yeah.
My husband and I are permanent dog parents, and so I don't have children in the school system right now. So, like, I am so far removed from this. I don't know what it looks like. I don't have personal experience here. I showed up to one service project at this school once a couple months ago, but I've never been there. I don't know what this
Yeah.
relationship looks like. What did I do? What did
Hmm.
I get myself into? And what I have found out is one, I'm not doing this alone.
Mm.
There are other staff and people who have owned this relationship are still walking right alongside me and being incredibly supportive. Um, it has taken some time and effort to ask the right questions and be curious and learn some of the things I need to know about the school and our partnership and how they're doing in the community, what they need. But at no point has it just been like, well, go figure it out, Emily. Like, this is on your
Yeah.
shoulders.
Right. Right.
It's been, God's a partner in this relationship,
Hmm. Hmm.
paving a way for incredible things. I've got the support of people on my own ministry staff, as well as really awesome partners in the school.
Yeah.
And nobody's expecting me to do it all.
Right.
And I mean, so far, I just show up and kind of facilitate the meetings and
Yeah.
send the emails, and
Yeah.
and people give me more credit than I think they should because
Yeah.
it's actually gone really great and it started some incredible things and really cool.
Right. Are you are you a different person today? Would you go that far
Then when?
than when you walked in the door?
Walked in the door. Yeah. Yeah, of course I am. I mean, not a completely different person. I don't
Yeah.
have necessarily a huge identity shift,
Right.
but instead of kind of needing someone's permission or
Hmm.
approval,
Hmm.
I can make some decisions or at least assumptions and move forward. And then kind of check in and be like, hey, I've done this thing instead of,
Hmm.
can I have your permission to maybe try this?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it's, hey, I've done this. What do you think?
Yeah.
Is that something I should continue? Should we put that one back on the shelf? And so just probably more confidence in
Yeah.
being a part of the team. That's been one thing that's really incredible here. I'm
Hmm.
not just, I'm not a resident or an intern. While
Yeah.
I am that,
Right.
I'm treated as a full staff
Yeah.
member,
Yeah.
same relationships with my team
Yeah.
as everyone else. So that's been really cool.
What do you think if you were gonna if I said, show me a picture of when it's great. Show me a picture of a great day. And you pick up your phone, you swipe across and you find the video or the picture. What's in that image?
Oh boy. Well, it's a carousel reel of videos and
Oh,
pictures. It's not
nice.
just one thing.
I like it.
It's moments of connection with people.
Okay.
It's the woman who attended an event at the church that I was part of putting on, who
Hmm.
had a revelation in her spiritual walk with Christ,
Hmm.
and it meant enough that she came back and told me that story.
Yeah.
And then it's the person who was vulnerable enough to ask for help,
Mm.
had a prayer request need that was kind of scary, but they asked. And I was either part of meeting the need or got to watch it happen. Um, uh, Watching, the person with white hair and a walker lean over and high five the little tiny girl who's just
Mhm.
learning to walk in our gathering
Oh,
on a
nice.
Sunday.
I like
Um,
it.
it's
That's a great image in my mind.
it's a good
One
image.
person's just learning to walk and one person's holding on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
just good moments. It's accomplishing tasks. It's a good productive day too, but also acknowledging that productivity isn't always checking things off the
Yes.
to-do list or
Yeah.
sending the emails.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most important productivity is the extra 15 minutes you took talking to the Amazon
That's right.
delivery guy
That's right.
who walked in the door.
That's right. Where's it going for you, Emily? I I cross your paths in a couple, 3 years from now. What do you predict?
I predict that for my own sake, that my story will continue at the water's edge beyond my residency.
Yeah.
I've been in a discernment process about my gifting and skills and what the church needs, and kind of leaning into some of those things, and
Yeah.
um, still figuring out where that's going to fit,
Right.
and balancing with what roles are already
Yeah.
occupied and held at the church, and
Yep.
then what the growing needs will be,
Yeah.
but continuing to serve, um, furthering some education. Being here has
Yeah.
uh, made me crave some more even formal education.
Cool.
So getting some more just learning under my belt, more deep Bible study
Yeah.
uh, and things like that. I think you said in about 3 years. That's I think probably the plan.
Yeah.
And just really exciting to see that opportunity. I don't know where the future will lead,
Yeah.
uh, but God knows,
Yeah.
and he's been really good to me.
Yeah.
So excited to keep following where he leads.
Turns out he's good.
Yep, real good.
Turns out he's good. He knows our address.
Ugh.
You're the little girl growing up, highly involved in these churches, watching your parents be
Yes.
engaged in this stuff and not quit. A lot of people they retire and they hit golf balls and play tennis. And what'd your parents do? What a model. What a
Yeah.
model for you.
What a model indeed. And they re-retired after those churches, and it's still not going great. I don't know how many times I call and, oh, dad's filling in at this pulpit. Oh, mom's taking this lay servant ministry
Yeah,
training.
man. That's our
But
plan.
really, really good things. And,
Yes.
God has never steered me wrong.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
when I
let me know if he does, by the way. Shoot me a text that
Oh,
day.
okay. I don't expect you're going to get that message anytime
Yeah,
in my lifetime, but
right.
even when I don't quite understand or see what's coming,
Mm-hmm.
um, it was it was it was pretty scary when my husband and I both stepped
For
back from
sure.
corporate jobs,
For
and
sure.
there's some mountains to climb with that,
Yeah.
just logistically, but
Yeah.
God continues to provide and
Mm-hmm.
show us how important this work is,
Mm-hmm.
how very good He is.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It just
really.
strikes me that in Craig could tell you, I remember meeting Craig years ago and they were meeting in a school. The
Hmm.
church was just starting. And you see things like that and you think, I wonder if they'll make it.
Hmm.
Because, churches, they're like restaurants.
Yep.
Three or
Some
four
make it.
years, 3 or 4 years, and then close or whatever. And
Yeah.
so some people sacrificed in big ways and
Hmm.
built that place. Some of them,
Yeah.
most of them are still there. Some of them have gone on.
Oh, a lot of
And
them
now
are.
you walk in the door and you are benefiting. We're all benefiting from the 2,000-year-old church that began. We're
Yes.
all down line of a bunch of faithful people, but we're not as far downstream as some that we think that have sacrificed and set it up. So now you're walking in there, and then what's your response? Helping this mass of people build beds, fill backpacks, help schools.
Hmm.
It's pretty incredible.
It's really incredible. And I gotta say, it's a lot of fun. I get to have fun so much of the
Yeah.
time. Maybe that's not even fair to some people who aren't enjoying what they're doing, but
Yeah.
this is a lot of fun.
Well, yeah. And our job is to respond accordingly. And there are, in fact, I think Gallup would tell us most people are not enjoying what they're doing right now on
Hmm.
Tuesday afternoon as we're recording. You and I
Hmm.
are having a good time.
Yes.
Uh, And so what's your response to that is to create a place where they can walk in and make sense of all of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're looking for Jesus, sometimes they're looking for a friend, sometimes they're
Yep.
looking for help, and there you are. Pretty cool.
Here we are. And I tell you, even on the very hardest days working in ministry, God is still God. And He hasn't
Yeah.
changed. And
Yeah.
my hope is in tomorrow because He's already
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I
Uh,
love it.
and I know what He's going to do. So,
Thanks for that.
yeah.
Listen, friends, if you're a leader at a church and you're thinking, how do I do this? There's nobody in there are people in your town that are working corporate jobs, or they're building houses, or they're selling insurance, or they're a highly paid executive and they need to be challenged to something else. God doesn't have to make everybody get carpal tunnel. So some people just across the table, like, you should do this with your life. And here's
Yep.
a plan, and we can help you get there. We'll
That's
put
some people just need the invitation.
They
And if they
do.
never get it, they're never going to do it.
That
So
is
why don't
absolutely
we
right.
give them the invitation?
Emily, I think sometimes as leaders we think, oh, she would never want to do this. She wouldn't leave that job. She wouldn't take that pay cut, or whatever in our mind we think and she's waiting for an opportunity just to be asked and be given a platform, just half a platform to stand on, so she can build more, which is exactly what you've done.
Mm.
So kudos to you. Thanks for the time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.